Finally, our biggest bit of news to come out of Manor Lords since its release back in April. The official Twitter posted this. Yes, that is plural. Multiple new maps on the way, which is something so many people, including me, have wanted for the longest time. When Manor Lords came out into early access earlier this year, it was always something that we kind of knew was going to come eventually. I mean, having a very obvious drop-down menu with the early access map 1 is kind of a dead giveaway if I've ever seen one. But what can we actually glean from this hint? Well, clearly we're getting a more mountainous region. And whilst the current map is great for introducing us to the mechanics, it is understandably, as a sort of tutorial map, very flat. Okay, sure, we have a few rolling hills, but come on, surely there's more terrain types we can take advantage of here. So where is this new map going to be set? Well, we're heading to Switzerland. Sort of. Of course, Manor Lords doesn't specifically say which part of Europe the game is set in, but we can safely assume, due to the weather and plant types, that we're in the northwest region of the European mainland. Lush farmable summers and cold frozen winters. Well, that and the fact that Manor Lords themselves said this new map is inspired by Lauterbrunnen. Not heard of it? I mean, you might have. It's a small municipality in the Swiss Alps, encompassing the village of Lauterbrunnen, set in the valley, featuring rocky cliffs and the roaring 300-meter-high Stolbach Falls. That was incredible pronunciation. Nearby, the glacial waters of Trumelbach Falls gush through mountain crevices past viewing platforms. A cable car runs from the Stechelberg village to Skilthorn Mountain for views over the Bernese Alps. Yes, if all of a sudden I quit YouTube and you see me on the Swiss tourist board, you now know why. Honestly, though, Lauterbrunnen has been on my list of places to go for quite some time, so actually seeing this within Manor Lords I think is going to be cool. Now, I don't think it's going to be a one-to-one replica. It's just inspired according to Manor Lords themselves, but I actually think that this is a really smart decision. It's incredibly famous for the fact that this town is in a gorgeous valley. The name translates to Loud Springs into English, hence, well, the big waterfall in this absolutely iconic area of the world. But what about in the medieval times? Well, it was actually part of the Unterseen municipality, or lordship, I guess. Now, Unterseen is a place in itself, but within that region, you have Lauterbrunnen. Now, there isn't all too much about this lordship. However, the coat of arms looks pretty cool. It's a goat. Is that a goat? It looks a little bit like it looks a bit like a goat. So how does this actually affect our game? Well, first of all, the limitations of narrow valleys and craggy cliffs is going to change the way that things work just a little bit. Farming is going to be completely different in terms of its dynamic. There's not going to be as much real estate, with much more focus on hunting and the newly added fishing with that Unreal 5 update. But whilst we're on that, the recently included water features that Manor Lords have had, like the lakes, no, it is just the lakes at this point, will be perfect for this map because there is a huge waterfall leading into what I can only assume is lakes and rivers separating up the map for your intricate village designs. However, let's go back to that farming front because it's not all that simple. You see, sure, flat open plains on the original map isn't going to be the same as this valley, but I think Manor Lords have actually chosen this place very specifically because during the medieval period, the village of Lauterbrunnen developed a small agricultural community because of its incredibly fertile valley and natural resources. The spring had a huge selling point on its really rich farming lands, meaning that berries could grow, crops would really be sprouting and harvesting well, and of course it would attract all types of animals and nature. So that's going to be a massive part of choosing this area. Combat, though, will also be greatly impacted, setting up choke points to defending narrow passes and the water bodies and rivers with great tactical advantage to defenders, not to mention those cliffs. Now, there is actually a slight cliff within the game already in the current map. It made for a cool Jackie Fish thumbnail. I think it was his video, but that's about it. It actually doesn't really work well, the AI. They still don't really know how to deal with it. Whether they're going to be able to handle it within this new map, I'm hoping so. But the AI is one thing that does need improvements. You see, especially within the combat, there is very little detail in terms of actually the fighting mechanics. And I hope that that gets swiveled around a little bit. But once again, it does seem that this is really being pushed towards just being more of a village simulation and a city builder. And that in which it does very, very well. All in all, this map looks absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to see more information on it very, very soon. But it's not all great news, though, for Manor Lords, because within the comments of this, somebody asked, well, are they going to get other AI? As in, like, other AI that are going to settle, make their own villages, people that you can trade with and go to war with. Because, of course, we have the AI that is off the map, and they come in to kill some bandits and eventually take land, and you eventually. But there isn't any AI actually making their own settlement. And unfortunately, Slavic Magic, or whoever runs the Manor Lords Twitter page, have said that it was postponed for more economy reworks, which apparently is what the fan base wants at the moment. Now, that's probably all down to the playtests that are currently going on. The Discord is very active for Manor Lords, and they're constantly testing and trying out new things, which I'm assuming is where this has all come from. But it does feel like a little bit of an odd choice for me. I mean, I think content is one of the things that people are really looking forward to. There's a lot of polish within the game already, but it just doesn't quite have the content. And honestly, I think the wider audience don't really care about the economy that much. Of course, you get the basics of trading down and the way it works and everything with your resources moving between your villagers. And of course, when you set up multiple settlements, being able to move resources between them. Once that's all set up, though, I think actual people's reliance and want for more in-depth economy just isn't there compared to more maps or more units or more things that you can do within the game or another AI that you can play against, because I think that is one of the main features that will start bringing people back into this game, is to have a bit more of a push and pull with the real-life AI that you can see. That's why Age of Empires has been so successful, even within its just offline skirmish modes, because you can see the other AI, they're doing their own thing, they're building up from nothing, and they go through all the research trees, and it would be really, really nice to see that happen within Manor Lords. Being able to see an AI that, of course, doesn't cheat, that actually goes through the same stages as you do. You can kind of compare and contrast, and you can see those villages being created. Now, I do understand that a lot of the reason this probably is taking longer than what people would perhaps wanted is because it's probably very tricky to do. There's probably so much that goes into actually creating another AI within this game that can, well, simulate the Manor Lords experience, and that's probably the reason it isn't in at this point in time, because this is still just mostly a one-man team at this point in time, or at least the head of it is a one-man team. And whilst that does have its advantages, I think in terms of this, there is a few drawbacks where they're focusing on things that potentially, and I think I've seen this in the past with Slavic Magic, is he seems to hold on to things that aren't actually that important within the big picture of the game itself. People actually play most titles very surface level, and whilst I think it is great to experience on the really in-depth things of having a fully functioning economy with loads of different changes and how it evolves and adapts with what resources are in trend at this point in time, actually I think most people just want to play a fun game, and that's actually what the wider audience that you're looking for is going to want to experience. But however, one of my main things that I always said is art is not made by committee, and I think this is a perfect example of this. Slavic Magic has a direction that he wants to go on, and I guess we're all just on board for the ride, or we're not, and that's more than fair enough. But let me know what you think. This is going to be an exciting next stage for the title, and I can't wait to see more about the new map, especially in Switzerland. Having those craggy mountains is going to add a nice little dynamic that we haven't really seen before. But please leave your comments down below. Go and check out the second channel if you haven't already for first-person shooter content. But until then, I will see you in the next one.